Welcome to the Shropshire Lads podcast, where a bunch of simpleton hobbits talk about things they don't fully understand. On this episode, we discuss UFOs, space, and veganism, before bringing the tone down again with our news story of the week. Enjoy.
Bob Lazar's truth.
Yeah, I
You're just trying to bait me on this. It was all fake, but don't worry.
What? You think it was all
Bob
fake?
Lazar did not see aliens and things, because if he did...
He didn't claim to see aliens.
Well, Bob Lazar didn't see anti-gravity devices either, or he claimed to be inside an alien ship as well.
That's what he claims.
Yeah.
It's anecdotal, so it could be completely
I think the government would have bumped him off if...
No, apparently it's not a government who owned this craft. It was a private company. And the military and the government went in there saying, you've got to let us see this. And they went, no.
Yeah, but then after, though, his medical history and his education history got deleted.
This Bob Lazar.
Yeah, he blamed the government for that. They tried to remove all traces of him, and they found a newspaper article of him at an old laboratory he used to work at, and he was claiming that he was that person, and he couldn't prove it anywhere because all his history got deleted. So
yeah, they tried to erase it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
They found his name in the phone book.
Private company.
Yeah, stuff like that, a phone book, like a press clipping and
But
things.
it's interesting because his argument to your proposed,
I love
thing
the idea.
would be, well, why would I do that to myself? Because he doesn't seem like the sort of guy that's craving attention.
No, he doesn't, does he?
And he says his life's been terrible afterwards. Maybe it could be a miscalculation on his part where he thought, that's going to be great, I'm going to make... But it just seems like he doesn't seem like that sort of guy.
No, well, the bit where he took them up, he took his friends, didn't he, into the middle of the desert and said, I know when the test runs are for this, we'll go there and we'll watch them. And they flew over. And everything that he said, this will happen, it all happened.
He told you it happened.
No, because he's got
video.
witnesses, he's got videos, he's got witnesses.
I'm a skeptic.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe there's something
fine.
else out there, etc. But I just don't believe it's going to come in this nice round.
Have you watched the
Joe Rogan?
Proper Netflix?
No, the Netflix one. Yeah, the Joe Rogan's is probably more
The
interesting.
podcast is brilliant. By all accounts, this Jeremy, what's his name? Watson Jeremy Lavelle. Is it Jeremy Lavelle? People don't like him by all accounts.
Yeah.
He doesn't really nail it in that.
I've not seen the video at all, but isn't it apparently like the first 20 minutes he's just talking about himself?
Yeah, I don't know. You get
Lazar.
kind of a weird vibe from him that he definitely.
He's got a beard.
He does, yeah. and it's not just that I get a weird vibe from.
No.
People said the Netflix show is like, just watch Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, in all fairness, I genuinely found the podcast more interesting.
It was brilliant.
I listened to the pod. I've not seen the Netflix.
It's like they've tried to be kind of stylish and artistic about it. Like he's got a voiceover from, I'm not sure who it is, but it's like a really deep American voice, like talking almost poetically every now and again as the stars like race across the sky, and it's all a bit like
dramatised.
Yeah, cerebral and a bit weird, but it's still kind of highlights Bob's story. But the thing that gets me with him is, and I don't know if this is a legitimate claim, but he says that he doesn't make any money out of it. He hasn't like written a book. He's not trying to flog a book. He didn't do the podcast or the movie out of wanting to do it. It was like he was coaxed into doing it, trying to share his story. And when you actually see him, it's hard to think that he's not telling the truth, because he seems so like he's just like I'm talking to you now.
Yeah,
it's like totally natural. So he's either an extremely good liar,
but not making money off it,
who doesn't care about the outcome, or he's crazy, or he's telling the truth.
Maybe I don't know. I could believe the idea that there was something there that no one could work on, and then they all basically said, right, we've got to step away from this for like 5 years or something. I get that bit. I don't know. I'm just such a skeptic about the whole thing that if there was this alien technology and they could zoom around space and whatnot, how come it just happened to crash in Roswell and things? And
well, apparently it was
seems too human, the fact they could have been blinded by light and crashed this amazing anti-grav stuff, and they've gone oh, and crashed it down in Mexico. I'm just a skeptic.
But they were saying that it's archaeological, so it didn't crash there. They dug it up, so it was already under the ground. But there were a couple of moments where it's a bit like, is he telling the truth?
He seemed a bit like he was getting a bit nervous, but
I picked that up. So who was Jeremy Lavelle.
He was
So
a
was that the-
filmmaker,
So was that the guy that was also on the Rogan pod?
Yeah.
They were-
Oh yeah, because there's loads of bits. He annoyed me actually. He kept trying to go,
Yeah.
Bob, tell him this bit. Bob, did you know? Bob this, and he was going like, just let Bob do it, mate.
Yeah.
He was trying to really overemphasise.
I think it just he was passionate about it, and he knew that Bob's introverted and wasn't forthcoming.
Yeah.
So he was like the Paul Heyman to the Brock Lesnar, if I
Yep.
can quote wrestling.
Yeah,
But the more interesting thing was when they realised, because they gave allegedly they gave like all the specialists just the parts to figure out. So the engineers got the engine,
Yeah.
and all that, and then they said that one day that they sent all the Russian scientists, because they actually got Russians in apparently allegedly, to look at all the parts, and one day they actually went, right, all the Russians can go home now. And it was like somebody in some department had figured something out, and it was 1985 at this time, or 84, something like that. And I'm just saying,
That's how you were conceived.
I am an alien. Is that what you're trying to say?
that, something was discovered, and people always say to me, if you look at Star Trek in the 60s, 66, and you look at us now, the only part of the ship we have is the computer system, the microchip. Imagine if you look at the Starship Enterprise, we've got the bit where you touch the screen and move the buttons around. That's the only bit we've got. Everything else, we're nowhere near. But I'm just throwing out wild speculation.
No, that is weird, because it totally syncs up like chronologically, because we found these, the Americans allegedly found these.
That's okay.
Found these ships, found this technology, and then all of a sudden we're on like a fast track to having computers in our pockets, within 20 years.
Where is it based? Silicon Valley, it's not a million miles. If a company went...
No.
Imagine just me and you just stumbled upon alien ships and we were like, we aren't clever enough to understand any of this. Hire people, quickly find people that are, and then our company started like, how did you get all this technology? We're like,
Brainwave.
wouldn't it be cool if we just computers?
Teleporters.
They say it's like the easiest secret to keep, because everyone just says it's nonsense.
But wasn't the greatest lie the devil ever told just making people think didn't exist?
Oh, quite in the usual suspect.
But no, it
just
doesn't.
like that.
You can spin everything. You can
Just
spin
go.
everything like that.
But doesn't it feel like a lot of things you can understand from a mechanical point of view, like how a car engine works?
Yeah.
But when you look at a microchip, you're like, quantum leaps. There were some steps that we just went, whoop,
Yeah.
and you're like,
That's fair.
I can be shot down instantly. But the microchip is just like, to me, it's mind-boggling. Whereas how a train works or how a car works is like,
That's
you don't even my pequeña brain can understand.
Yeah, you can see the bit. You can see the moving
bits
parts.
going, and then you went, this thing the size of that.
Like a thumbnail.
It just went through the roof.
Well,
and
Yeah.
look at your phone. There's a battery inside this phone that can do hours and hours and hours of footage and all sorts. It's again probably big as my nail.
Yeah,
It's
and like
concealed
in
this
our
case. I
lifetime,
can't just.
what did we have? Nokias,
Yeah, eventually, nothing. Then we've gone through the mobile phone history, haven't we?
How is it gone like that? The trajectory is we've started off like industrial revolution, blah blah blah, and then it's just gone boop. It's just absolutely skyrocketed.
Yeah, I'm sure
Something
Something
weird has
stupid.
happened
Yeah.
there.
Well, so, aliens, mids, they've been here?
Bob Lazar is.
I believe him.
Yeah, I think I believe
I
him.
believe him. He seems like a genuine bloke. Again, there's a lot of conjecture on YouTube, but I've watched a video of a body language expert who has watched the entirety of his things, and he goes this is there'll be a blue line on the bottom where it's a bit where I think he's telling the truth, and there'll be a red line where I think he isn't. And every time you go, right, well, this is where I thought he wasn't telling the truth. But then they asked him a follow-up question and he explained that bit off, and they're like, the times where he gets muddled up, you can see they said something like, he's getting muddled up because he's like, no, you're not saying it right, this is what actually happened. And they were like, I think he's telling the truth. And these were proper body language experts.
But he says quite a few times that he can't remember all the details because it happened such a long time ago.
Which is right.
But then, and then on the other hand, he's able to draw, in detail, he could draw the ship
Oh, does he?
And he drew all of the bits of it, and he explained exactly how it worked, and that's not changed, through the whole time he's been telling the story. It is kind of crazy. There's something.
Oh, it's absolutely
there.
Well, the other thing was the element he
115.
Yeah.
that powered the craft, and they said we don't know how it's made, but we know how to fuel it. It's this element that didn't exist at the time, and now in I think it was 2004, the German team of scientists discovered the element and went, that exists. So it was almost like, well, that's not definitive proof, but it's basically him just either knowing.
Pretty impressive.
He just called an element.
Pentium.
And then what was the other thing that they in the documentary? So hand scanners. It's like a sci-fi thing.
Yeah, it was in 2000, not 2001. What film was it? Close Encounters. It was a film. It was in, wasn't it?
One of them, yeah. But he was saying that that's what they needed. They had to use to get in to the area wherever he was. And he was talking like in detail about this technology and how it worked. And it just didn't exist. Everyone thought, nah, that's nonsense. And then it comes up, years later. They find this hand scanner. There's pictures of it, exactly as he described it. It's just like there are a lot of things that he has played a seriously good game if he's a liar.
Oh yeah.
He's learned to be awesome at lying, awesome at body language, and played it for 20 years.
He has OJ'd his way through life if he's done that.
But didn't he say
why would you do that?
He's been there for 2 years. Did he say 4 years?
I don't think he made it that long because he got kicked out for doing it. Basically, it's like you get in there and go, guys, come and check this out. You're not gonna believe.
Well, by all accounts, his wife started having an affair with another bloke because he was being called out. But it's like he said they'd ring you at 4 o'clock in the morning and said you've got to be at McCarran Airport at 4:30, and they pick you up and they take you to the test site. And his wife was having an affair, and they said they didn't want people working on this project who don't have stable home life. Because they want all of your brain focused on this. They don't want you worried about stuff. So they would start bringing him in and asking questions about. And this might be absolute rubbish, but I think he said that's how he sort of found out because they started picking stuff about his own life. Started telling him.
I think that was on the podcast.
There's something in that.
Something weird's going on there for sure.
I'm not saying he's an absolute bullshitter. I just think that I don't know. It's one of those things.
It could be though. Totally, it could be.
It just seems weird that he's allowed to constantly perpetuate it, and But if he's never made any money from it and stuff, what's he done since?
Well, that's the problem. That it happened in the 80s.
He's got his own company. He runs a company selling.
It's called
chemistry,
parts
isn't it?
And stuff. Yeah.
But it seems like if he's like sort of a egomaniac and wants attention, he's done pretty well, because I'd never heard of him before he did the Joe Rogan podcast, and this obviously he claimed it happened in the 80s, so he's pretty much played it down to the point of
But he did that. Yeah, but the podcast was the same time as a Netflix special. It was a PR tour.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't just a random.
But he came out in the 80s and said this is what happened, and there was a TV producer. Convinced him to come out because he said it was like it's probably for your safety that you should come out and talk out about this, because it gets to a point where you become so famous that they can't bump you off,
because then it proves
but he wasn't famous till the other year, till he did
he was famous over there.
He was famous literally days after he came out and he said these things,
the 80s.
And then this news reporter got in touch. And it was all over. It was massive.
Yeah, I remember him saying that he had it like a day or two after he had it sort of released to presses. But then that's what I mean. The skeptic in me starts going like, they could have just bumped him off in between then and now. And things. And it just seems like the guy's got all the story, pumped it on Netflix. Everyone wants to get a bit of fame. I get that. Not the Bob Lazar dude. The
other guy. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him. He feels like that kind of character. Like he's not just doing it for the truth. He's doing it for. To get people to watch his documentary.
Bob Lazar seems like the guy who has got all of the experience and the information, but he doesn't really want any of the fame with it. Yeah. And there's two people here who seem like they're gone, right, I can take this guy to the cleaners, I can make loads of money off him, and that's what they're trying to do. Because by all accounts, there's Jeremy, I don't even know who it is, Jeremy Lavelle. His other films aren't very good either. They're not very. I haven't really looked into him, but people are I've discredited him quite a lot. I can't really say much because
Yeah,
I
he
don't
comes
know
across
much about him. But
like a bit of a dick.
Good beard, though.
Yeah, I think he's got a great beard, and he's just passionate. I think, and I think his passion was bursting over.
Yeah.
Because he knew. I think he obviously knew Mr. Lazar well enough to know that he's not forthcoming with information, so he had to kind of like
Poke the bear.
like I said, just to stop.
Yeah, he's kind
Like
of
a
like...
promo guy, you need sometimes with a shy, you know.
Yeah, he needs to
introvert,
be
you need
encouraged.
push
Jeremy
him.
Corbell.
Corbell.
Jeremy Kenyon Lockyer Corbell.
Oh, well, he's got...
And
dick,
Joe
hasn't he?
Rogan's pod was Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell.
So if right, I asked Mids. You said about aliens. Aliens, I would say, do exist because they got to somewhere. But whether they've been here is another thing. Start aliens
Absolutely.
at some point, even if it's
just not
microscopic.
in the Mars attacks variation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, then it's the Fermi paradox, which is the paradox that if aliens should exist, because there's so many solar systems in which they could exist, and many planets been around billions of years before we, then why haven't we come into contact with them? Is the Fermi paradox, but the thing is they're already here.
Well, there's certain places where they are there. They probably are too far away. They'll never be able to.
Well, it's like us. We can only get to the moon.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, yeah.
Not the moon.
That did happen 6 times apparently.
Yeah,
Didn't get that right in the quiz, did we?
No, we didn't. But they had to actually put the flag there if they, failed on first.
No, right. Yeah.
But
Take the Russian one down. Sorry, Soviet.
My excuse for why aliens haven't visited here, they probably are here and probably already observed us from a safe distance, is like the reason we don't go into like a cannibalistic tribe with our iPhone going, guys, you've got to check this out. They would just fucking kill us.
Spear to death.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to the primal thing.
You'd be like, guys, you want to check this iPhone out? We're gonna share our technology with you, and you just be like,
Yeah, but he did totally deserve that
oh, you're talking about
because
that Christian poor
yeah,
guy.
because he's not a poor guy. Because the phrase "poke the bear" comes from literally "don't poke a bear." Don't take your Christianism and shove it on some savages because they will savage you by nature. That's what they do.
That is
that's
nature
not-
making its decision and saying you don't deserve to live, because people who don't understand any of our technology or any of our Western ways, and you go, the Bible will sort this out, and
Well, yeah.
no, I think a spear will sort it out quicker than the Bible, mate.
But the problem is we are those people on the island with the. Can you imagine aliens just coming like they'll appreciate this banter.
Yeah.
They just stroll in and we're all just like everybody nuke them and they're like, guys, we were just trying to show you. Like a.
I've seen Independence Day. I know exactly what you're going to do.
They did, didn't you? Have you ever seen one of the most famous UFO cases is known as the Battle of Los Angeles, and it was an actual UFO that came out over the LA sky in the 50s, or maybe a long time ago anyway. And there's one famous photo which is, because it's so old and grainy and black and white, and you can see the shape of a saucer, and it's just like flashes going up at it because they're trying to shoot it out of the sky.
We are, exactly. We are they were just coming to go, these guys will appreciate the iPod and
Yeah, that was probably it. That was probably the moment they were like, right, aliens were about to make contact with us, and we were just like, shoot it!
Yeah,
and then they just bailed.
On the alien news, it was like, Gary today got shot down because he went to a planet.
Gary the alien, yeah.
And it was just like, Gary, what were you doing, son? You've gone and blown it all.
It's just beyond our comprehension, possibly. Then if someone could travel space and whatever, and then they've come look at our planet, see what we do.
Be like Bale.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think
get out of there.
You can't. I can't comprehend at least what an alien does, thinks, how it thinks, processes.
Sorry for people who can't say, I'm just showing them the photo. It's from 1942, so it's all these flashlights around Los Angeles on
A building?
No, it's in the sky.
A tall building?
It's a circular.
No, it's like flat cannons used to have a searchlight on them, so they're probably all just like searchlight. Flat
Did it all. And so you can't really see much in there, but from all of the witnesses, and these are members of the public, they were like, there was something in the sky and they tried to shoot it down and it left.
Well, maybe they did shoot it down. Maybe that's why we have iPhones.
Well, that would work with the timeline, wouldn't it? Because 40s, technology The war kind of progressed a bit, but
42, that was, it said.
yeah, after that it's
1942.
just like,
Yeah.
and now we've got foes.
We don't
in our
know,
pockets.
do we?
Because they thought that it was, an invasion
Yeah, we know,
due
yeah.
to the war, so that's why they just went, we'll shoot that shit
They
there.
picked a bad time to come
Yeah.
visit, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Super
totally
intelligent
wrong
space
time.
battling race.
What we'll do is we'll give this another couple of thousand years, shall we, and then come back.
Well, there was a thing
They
about
might have
Roswell,
counted.
wasn't it? 19... when it was 51, because it was Area 51 because of the year it happened. Apparently, allegedly, it was Stalin sent over deliberately, like a malformed human being, in a they flew over an actual craft, dropped it out, and landed it in a propaganda attempt to basically slow down American progress of like being like wary of the Russians, to think like there's actually a bigger enemy coming. This again is another. This
I've
is
never heard that
conspiracy
What
theory.
about the space race? Yeah, 'cause wasn't that America versus Russia?
That was America versus
constantly?
Russia. Yeah, obviously that happened.
That's the
That
whole-
was the thing.
Well, that's the whole argument, isn't it? That the Russians were miles ahead. They sent Yuri Gagarin up first. They
Yeah,
sent
probably.
Laika up first as well, the dog, of course. And then it was like, well, they decided, hadn't they, America, by the end of the decade, they were getting, we're going to beat you, we're going to the moon. And it was 1969, and we're like, boys, we're not there yet. So
Well, that's the argument, isn't it? The argument is America and Russia in a space race. America believed neck and neck, so it was a matter of like they're going to get there because Russia were given the USSR given the propaganda of like we're on the verge. So they were like, we're both going to get there. It's a matter who gets there first. So they thought, allegedly, we'll film it first, and then it doesn't matter because once we've claimed it, we can get there afterwards.
Yeah.
And then Russia actually usurped them by turning around and going, we haven't got the technology, it can't be done. And then they went, we just filmed it. Can it be done? And it was like, spent the next 7 missions just trying to make it look like, well, if someone goes up there, we've got to make sure that it looks like the first mission was a success. Because why would you... Well, this is just all absolute conjecture and speculation.
Conspiracy theory at the highest.
There's a
Because-
lot of that coming out suddenly tonight.
Well, so so do you actually think that it has been done?
I'd probably say it has been done.
I think we've been to the moon.
Yeah. But
Well,
I wouldn't
as a
want
race.
to. I wouldn't want to. If you said it was it done in the year it was said it was done, or was it done after to make it look like it had been done? I'd probably say the latter.
That's interesting. So I didn't even know.
No, this is just, by the way, an idiot talking. So
No, it's
it's not.
interesting.
It's a different
It's actually
perspective
really
as well.
interesting. I hadn't even thought that was a possibility.
There's always that loose thing that moon landing was faked, wasn't it? But
it wasn't faked because.
the way you're labelling it makes it sound actually more convincing than just going, oh, it was faked.
But that's just one argument I heard of why
No, that's interesting.
why it stopped at a certain point, and what it's like. Well, we got there, so why are you still going there? And then you stop. It sounds a bit. If you can get there that easily, why do you know?
Why don't we have a base holiday resort on the moon?
Well, Virgin are doing space holidays, aren't they, at some point?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it goes out of the atmosphere for like 2 seconds and then back in, and you can say you've been in space.
But yeah, no.
Not Virgin Atlantic.
I don't know because I'm like I've always said this. I'm like that granddad who will be like, an aeroplane's enough for me, thanks. Not out of the atmosphere for me. Whereas like,
Oh, so you're doing the whole would you go to space?
like if you had to, like proper float around it, because it's quite impressive when you're kind of, high. But you've seen the video with the guy in the Red Bull where he just plummets.
Yeah.
And it's like you can actually see the curvature of
Felix
the earth.
Bango.
Yeah, and it's like it feels like
That's a video, isn't it?
he's gone like, oh, Jiminy Jilliker's Batman. That just like is horrifically bad. I'm just like, because they were scared to show his face, weren't they? Because they filmed it on a delay because his head exploded or something.
Yeah.
And as he's falling, oh my
The
word,
video left on the thing of him just going.
you're so much further away from the moon.
So he's dressed like
You
an
get
astronaut.
that's maybe you could say it's the
But he's
transit
actually
life.
dressed like an astronaut.
No, yeah, because I think he genuinely has to be. Otherwise
They
he would
did
die.
Bye-bye.
Twin Atlantic song Free for this, didn't they? And the lyrics to it, though, are I set my body on fire so I could be free. And I was quite worried he was going to combust at some point during the video because it seems
I
sort
don't
of
remember how it
ill-fitting.
winds up. Like he just parachutes down.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Well, obviously it's terminal velocity and then just It's
You
just
can't
like
go
a
any
normal-
faster than like 1,000 miles an hour.
Does he lose consciousness at any point of it?
No, I don't believe
That was the worry, wasn't it, that he might?
I can't even think what's been going through his mind.
Jiminy.
What kind of absolute mentalist do you need
I
to be?
think that's somebody who's, you know...
But he's like, I just wanted. Why won't you let me die?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. He's got some sort of weird.
The most imaginative suicidal man ever is like, I could do this from space.
And he lands and goes, for God's sake!
He
I
lands on
can't
his
believe
feet.
it. That's
He
it.
lands on his feet.
Insane.
Amazing.
I wouldn't do that. Like, I don't like jumping off curbs and things, but I definitely, if it was affordable, as a flight is such
Yeah.
across the world,
Never going to be affordable,
No.
is it?
I think, I'm not even a good flyer, as you all know, but I think if someone said to me, like, you can go to space, look at space, and then, or look at the Earth, and then come back down, I'd do it.
Yeah.
I think
I
that
would.
is what Virgin Galactic, I think
Yeah.
they're calling it. That's what it is.
Veganism and natural disasters.
I see Facebook posts from vegans who shall remain nameless, and it was constant posts of, oh, you can't eat animals, you can't do this, you can't kill this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And then somebody put a big photo up one day of a massive bird-eating spider, and they said, what do you think of this? He said, kill it with fire.
Yeah.
Because what? Because it's not fluffy?
Yeah.
Because you can't stroke it?
Yeah.
You know, where's your... I would like to know, of all these people who are vegans, have you ever trodden on an ant? Did you step over the ant? Did you provide the ant with adequate living accommodation because it's a living entity? You know, what's your bloody...
I think
where's
it's when
your limit?
it's taken to the extreme.
Where's
That's
your
when
limit?
it falls apart. It's like you get those militant vegans that are, that will espouse their feelings and thoughts as if it's fact.
Gospel, and you should
Yeah.
do as I say.
It's the same as anything. Take it to the extreme. People think this is I'm right and I'm going to tell everyone about it. But you can take the vegan philosophy and apply it to your life in a way that makes you a more responsible person. You can still be a meat, like I still eat meat, but I do it in a responsible way. I don't buy cheap meat. I try and eat more vegetables, not just from a vegan perspective, but from a health perspective. So you can take the idea and apply it in a nicer way.
See, I've had so much of being... I've had enough of being told what to do. I now say to them, well, I will only eat animals that I know have suffered before, because their tears make them juicier.
Oh dear.
That's my response when I'm told that I have to, because I feel that's as ridiculous as me being told by somebody who's wearing a leather jacket or leather shoes, you shouldn't eat meat and things shouldn't be killed. And I even got told the other week that it's unlawful to shear sheep. It's like, so, they get overly
walk
hot.
around naked if you're a vegan.
They get overly hot, and they suffer it. They get ill. They can die because they're too hot.
There's a big grey area there, isn't there?
Well, just do what you want, basically. Don't be told.
But that's
what to
the
do.
fight fire with fire thing. It's like militant vegan versus the exact opposite, and it's like fight, battle.
Yeah.
It's because everyone's got a social cricket bat they want to hit you with. But it's just like, why do I have to do it? Because I've told you. Okay, well, because this link says so. Yeah, but this link tells me that local single women want to meet me and things. Like, the internet is full of riddles. Like, what you on about? And it's like, oh no, it's true. And I like the idea of having expanded knowledge. I'd like to know more about things and whatnot. But the idea of some of the strong militant veganism in particular does bore my piss a bit. It does get my nerves.
It's fashionable though as well. It's like people are doing it just because it's a trend.
I like
now.
to say I did it before it was annoying.
You did.
You did and you do. That's the last thing. You don't make
We
a big
do it
deal
for a
of it.
lifestyle
You're a
choice,
rare
and
one.
you don't tell us that we have to do it. If people want to be vegan, that's absolutely fine. It's great. More meat for me, yay. But I don't go around to them and say, no, eat meat.
I think
You wouldn't go to a vegan and say, what about all of the vitamins and stuff you're missing out on? Where do you get that from now that you don't eat meat? You wouldn't assume that. You wouldn't try and have a go at them for it. But some of them will do it the exact opposite way around and have a go at you.
There's a nursery as you go into Chester near the racecourse that recently got fined a lot of money because they didn't tell the parents and they changed all the children's diets to vegan at the nursery. So they're feeding them vegan meals every day.
That's a bit weird.
And the parents only got wind of it, and then when they sort of challenged them, and they said they want to be more sustainable. And the parents like, but you're potentially making my children vitamin deficient, and that's my choice if they're a vegan or not necessarily, because they're not old enough to make the decision yet.
Yeah.
But that's not your choice to make my child a vegan, and they've got in a lot of hot water about it.
I'm surprised.
Good.
I fucked up.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because again, it was enforcing someone else's morals onto, of all things, like nursery children.
They deserve to be taken to the gallows.
That's a terrible band, so I wouldn't have thought on anybody. I'm joking, I've not really heard their music. I'm sure they're quite moderate to okay.
Great.
Are they still going?
They are.
Well then,
Ish.
from a vegan's perspective, when I say vegan, I mean
Yours.
douchebag.
Same thing.
I'm watching my friend group, and it's interesting to see who's like almost.
It's the big red button that says "Don't press."
People are like almost coming to it, like
Yeah.
it's like a fire. Whereas like a few years ago, no one was vegan. Now it's everywhere. Like you can go to,
Yeah.
Very true.
and it's interesting for me to view who's getting like
Bandwagoning.
incepted by it. Like they're getting, you know. Whereas I know Stokes is more like, you know, I want to eat what I want to eat.
I like the taste of meat. That's my issue. If I didn't like the taste of meat, I'd be vegan as well. Because you're not a fan, are you? Not
Well, I
the
was
biggest
never
fan.
big. It was always the cheese was the thing that
Yeah.
I'd miss more than the chicken and the beef. Because I was
I
never
would
a
say
pork.
cheese.
I was never a pork eater or a lamb eater or a beef eater. Even it was chicken and cheese.
Yeah, I'm similar.
I'm the same. I'm tuna. Chicken and tuna.
Because I
Everything else.
don't know. I don't know. Do cows need to be milked? Is that a thing, or do they?
From what I've heard, yes, but then there's an argument that we've bred them to
Mm,
need to be milked. It's become a horrible
like a bit
circle
of,
where
it's not
we've conditioned them to need to
Right.
be milked.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, we've
So I
forced
believe the
their
answer to that,
evolution.
I believe the answer is yes, they do. But I also believe then that not necessarily we, but we as the royals, like our ancestors, have made them need to be milked.
They should have been stronger in the first instance then, and just fought back.
What, just held in
Well,
the milk?
it's their own
So
fault for
pulling your tits and
being.
you're like-
It's their own fault for being cows. If they would have been human beings, they would have succeeded. But they're cows.
I think that's the parents' decision more than the.
It's not really. It's not their decision because they're not clever enough to make decisions.
That's I see your point there, but here we go.
Go on.
Have you heard they've made a Whopper that is vegan?
We talked about this before.
And
Yeah.
what do they call it? It's like
Impossible.
That's it, the
Impossible
Impossible Whopper. Yeah, I would love to try that because I am a sucker for a Whopper. I love a Whopper.
Well, there was a quote on Twitter before where somebody said, "So if I feed an Impossible Whopper to a meat eater, I'm conducting an experiment. But if I feed an actual Whopper to a vegan, I'm all of a sudden a monster."
yeah,
Which is so accurate. It's ridiculous.
Well, the question has to be then, if you're prepared to eat the Whopper and you're like, yeah, that's all right, that's good, and say the Whopper was the same price as the normal Whopper, there's a slight part of me that thinks maybe killing animals for my taste buds isn't great.
Well, there is and there isn't on this. We had a conference at work last week, and a lot of the statistics they threw around there were to do with millennials and Generation Z, which I had to learn about even men.
That's, younger than millennials, obviously.
Yeah, and
Was
there's
it-
people that own 34% of the world's wealth in the next 20 years, and their decision making and the money behind what they're going to be earning is then driving a lot of banks, for example, of what their driving directive's going to be. And sustainability and a company's ethics is meant to be a huge selling point at the moment because they're in this reactive culture, as well as that and immediate service. So people said they'll pay 20% more if they can get it next day, and that culture as well. So there's a weird culture. We all want it now, but then on another hand, and a separate issue, we all want it like slowly grown, healthily fed, etc.
yeah, like with
It's
morals.
not just food I'm referring to, but yeah, there is a weird issue there.
What are they called? Generation Z.
Z, they're the ones.
Z,
I think
yeah.
what's the year you have to be born to be Generation Z? It's something like
I looked at it the other day. Yeah, I think
2003 or
millennials, if you're born in the after 91, and then you were sort of in your teens in the millennium, and then Gen Z, I think if you're born early millennium and you're now a teen to adult.
So what are we?
We're
We don't have. We don't. No, we're
No,
not.
we are
No, we're not. I
millennials.
don't know
No,
if they-
87. I think you can go.
No.
Well, we're not
So
then.
you're not millennial then.
So I am. Thanks, millennial.
No,
We're
I
not.
think it's 35 and below.
Oh, yeah. One thing says that millennial could be from 1981 to 1996.
81 to 96.
But then another one.
So that includes Other people we know.
Basically everyone we
All
know,
of us.
strangely.
Yeah, it's just the idea of basically sustainability and immediate culture. I think they clash, but it's what people want to pay for these days.
Because we will be the old hacks, you know, that are doing things that are uncouth and uncool, what we thought were.
We're doing it
Well,
now.
we already are.
That's what we've been doing for the last 2
You meat
hours.
eaters, certainly are you. Because I'm going to call this. I think you will get the smoking sort of like meat is harmful things on old-fashioned meat.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not tomorrow, but I
Oh,
think
like
in 10 years you'll get the horrible,
A
like,
severed head.
sad little pig getting
Right.
chopped.
Yeah, like on cheap meat or something. That's
Yeah.
not
On the
good.
meat, and this would be like, I think that's not far away. I'm just saying that.
No, I don't think that's actually not an audacious show, to be honest, mate. But then no doubt then someone will get in trouble for being the photographer that takes a picture of the meat that does it
yeah,
It does need to be a bit more
because I
awareness
think,
around
to
that.
be honest, I'm one of those people that thinks that's too far on cigarettes.
Mm.
When I'm just saying, people in this country certainly, I think everybody knows cigarettes are not good for you,
Everybody knows that hands down.
and no
Everyone
one's
that
looking
smokes
at it and
knows.
going, "Oh, God, is this what's happening?" And then just stops.
No.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work as easily as that. So I think that's too far.
Well, to me, having worked somewhere which sells cigarettes and having gone through them, blacking out the packages and putting doors on the gantries, it has made zero difference.
Mhm.
The only difference it's made is now people don't really know what they want, and it made it more difficult for a while for us to find what they wanted, because we're all right because it's in alphabetical order, but for a while it was like, I don't know, because I don't, you know, you have to search and search and search for what they want. But, you know, people get used to it. But to me, it hasn't changed people's...
No.
I think if they want to do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah,
and-
exactly. Again, you don't want to be told you're not doing it.
Mm.
If somebody, to me, if I was at that age now where I was being told not to constantly like that, it's like, well, I might be a bit more inclined to give it a go.
It led to vaping.
That's
And then they all went, "Oh, this is cool. This is okay because it's not. Well, don't worry, it's causing no any harm." And then now there's been sufficient time. People are getting popcorn along and things.
I've got the popcorn now.
So like, everyone just went to vaping, and then they had this horrific smoker's arrogance that is also, when I finish my fag, I can throw it on the floor because littering's cool. And then they became the whole like, I'm gonna blow vape smoke in your face because that's okay because it's my vape smoke, and you're like, yeah, but I don't want that in my face. I didn't want your smoke in my face.
No,
It's just how
definitely not.
they all smell so different. It's like cigarette smoke. You know what it smells like. It's not nice. But now you'll be like stood outside somewhere.
Put off candy floss.
Yeah, and you'll have candy floss and caramel and toffee and fucking strawberry, and it's
Yeah.
like all these
Yeah,
smells. And you're just
yeah.
like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
So baffling.
Talking of smoke, did you see what happened in New Zealand?
volcano.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Volcano going off. What on earth?
People were in it or on it.
The crater is basically the island, so it's
Yeah.
at the tip. So you're walking around the top of it, and apparently, like,
Loads of people live
Terrible.
there, surely, probably. Yeah.
No, it's literally
No, it's an
just
island
just
to
an
go.
island.
Oh,
So
imagine-
it's come up because of the volcano.
Yeah,
It's come out of
it's
the sea
uninhabited.
because it's got
Yeah.
a volcano on it. So it's only a volcano.
Sorry, I thought it was like a
basically.
little island with a volcano.
yeah, well,
on it.
it's not a massive tall island. It's like that's basically you're on it. You go up it, and then that's the tip of the volcano. So it's basically you're always a bit risky going there, but it was just an absolute misfortune to be there
It
when
is
it
the
went off.
most active, isn't it?
Because they always say, like, if Naples, the volcano
Vesuvius. Yeah.
Vesuvius goes off, Naples is gone.
Mm.
I mean, they've got enough time to probably
See it coming.
see it coming to get everyone out, but it's like it's going to be gone.
Because I went up Etna when I was in Sicily, and that's the most active volcano in the world apparently.
Yeah, it's constantly going.
Because it's always going off. Like as we were leaving, as we were flying out, it was erupting.
Oh, I remember seeing you put the photo.
It's
on
insane.
Facebook.
It was like it was going off. But
Mm.
Vesuvius is the most dangerous because it's a pyroclastic flow, which is just a big cloud of superheated
Horrendous.
dust that
Yeah.
just
It's like
that
an
moves-
avalanche, isn't it, of dust?
Yeah, it's like that,
Yeah.
and you're done. Whereas Etna is an eruption of lava, like you imagine, and it's really slow, and they can predict it. And then one time they even diverted it, so they managed to actually turn it away from where it was going toward the town. But Vesuvius just it'll come out and it will be on you just like that straight away. You're dead. It's like Pompeii. That's from Vesuvius.
Yeah.
It's that pyroclastic, massive cloud of black superheated shit that just kills everything.
Yeah.
So that's where Naples. They say that people that live there are just nuts because you basically could die at any moment.
In your sleep, awake, doesn't matter.
Apparently, everyone in I'm not saying everyone in Naples, but a lot of people in Naples have got like escape plan ready. Like, I know where my car is. I know exactly what's happening. Like, it comes, I'm in my job, I'm running, got the car, bomb.
And they all got stuck in traffic, and they're like, "We didn't think this one through."
No, but like that as a mentality isn't really a bad way to live. It's like if that encourages them to live every day like it's their last day, they're gonna have a whale of a time. Got a great life.
Well, most of them are Cosa Nostra anyway, aren't they? So.
But isn't it like saying, like, apparently it's not just Naples, it's pretty much all of southern Italy is going to be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of activity around there.
But I suppose the house prices must be quite low.
Insurance, though.
On Etna, some places built before a certain time can't be insured.
Oh,
They're uninsurable. So if you've got a house that was built before, I can't remember what the date is, but they just won't.
Yeah, well, obviously not.
They won't insure you.
It's too likely to melt.
Yeah, but if something happens, they have eruptions all the time, and there are like earthquakes and stuff. And if your house can't withstand that, and modern houses can, they're built to shake.
Right.
These older houses aren't. They just crumble, and if that's yours, you're screwed.
Your own fault.
You have to pay for it yourself, and who's going to be able to do that?
Well, I never get with the Americans why are a lot of their houses made out of wood when they live in Tornado Alley, and you see a tornado rip through Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri, and it flattens towns, and you just think that was made of brick. You might just be retiling the roof. I don't know.
Is it maybe you'd rather be hit with a plank of wood than a brick?
Well, of course, brick houses around here don't get hit with 200-mile-an-hour winds, so you might be right. Maybe they wouldn't stand up to it much, but
they've got to be able to build something that can.
You'd like to think,
like Hobbit, not Hobbit houses, but it's like a dome.
Yeah,
apparently, if you build a dome, it goes over it because they're just like, oh, this is just a hill. I'm not taking this house down, but
but they do everything's just made out of wood. It's like, build it again in 2 years, right?
I suppose that's why maybe they think build as cheap as possible because it's just possibly going to get blown to
disposable or rebuildable.
Whereas if you go like, I'm going to put
maybe it is impossible to build something that's proof, and usually where there's earthquakes, it tends to be a specific place.
Well, Tokyo's got buildings that just, if an earthquake hits, they just all just
they're brilliant. They are
moving, mate.
That's clever technology. It's just it's designed to wobble like that and not fall over.
Maybe that's because they're like ingenuitive Japanese rather than yokel Americans who just.
Oh, wow.
You can't really be building tornado-proof houses when you're having sex with your sister.
Oh my Jesus!
On that bombshell. The news story of the week.
So, why should I have to pay to use a public toilet? As a grown adult, why do I have to pay to not go through the purpose of shitting myself in public? Now, this happened to me in London quite recently, and I didn't have the change, and I had to hop over the turnstile to not defecate myself.
Well,
I'm a grown man.
Well, as a grown man, you should be in control of your bowels.
That's not fair.
I suppose it goes towards the council, doesn't it? It's money for the council. It's not a great deal.
Does it?
Oh, it should do.
Well, so you don't know.
Nobody privately owns these toilets. You don't think, my lifelong dream is to own a toilet.
You'd always be in business.
Whoever lends all this invisible money we talked about owns toilets.
Yeah, but that's a shit job, isn't it?
I think it'd be a piece of piss. Actually, where the hell does that money go?
Thank you.
It's the same place as all the...
It goes to probably maintain the toilet, I would imagine.
What, to pay the cleaner that's on minimum wage? That's not fair.
Thank you. And this was London.
Do you know what I do if I have to pay for a toilet? I literally piss everywhere. Don't aim in the toilet. I paid for it, so I better work hard.
I had to hop the fence.
That's terrible.
I hope this is worth my 20p, bitch. Redecorating here.
But what annoyed me more is it's London and everything, and there was no card payment method, so I was completely bothered.
What, there's no contactless
no!
toilet?
So I was stuck having to make contact with coins. It was terrible.
Shit.
You should just stand there on the bit where you have to pay and just piss on it and say, if you won't let me in, I'm just going to go here then.
In the coin slot.
Short circuit the whole thing.
Here's my money.
Yeah, but if you piss in the coin slot, it'll come at the bottom, return to you. I want to soil yourself. That's my original point.
If you can manage to squeeze a turd through the note insert.
Right. We sounded like smart people before.
I don't know if
No,
we
we
did, to be
didn't.
honest. Like,
No, we didn't. We just came in.
Stupid.
We just came in with misinformed arguments. Now we're talking about piss and shit, and we know more about that. So
Very much so.
Thanks for listening to the Shropshire Lads podcast. If there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, just get in touch on social media. See you next time.